Hey everyone, I'm James, aka JellyKnees. I know it's been a while since I've spoken directly about Ethereal, so I want to give you guys a real update of where the project is now, what we've been working on, and what's coming next. Today marks the first of our monthly updates on Ethereal's development. I want to be transparent about where things stand and where we're going. First off, Ethereal is no longer being developed by Undying Games. Development has moved to a new studio named Menhir Interactive. I created this studio specifically to finish Ethereal, deliver the experience it's meant to be, and deliver the experience that you want it to be. Since taking over in late January, we've completed nearly 30 tasks ranging from UI redesigns and font updates to entirely new systems like the player versus AI bot modes that we'll talk about in a minute. Progress is steady, and we're moving forward every day. We've been sharing weekly updates on the website, and today I'll be covering some of that progress along with some new information. If you haven't been seeing that news, go into the description, click our newsletter link to sign up. Starting on Friday, April 3rd, 2026, all of our news posts will be accompanied by a newsletter email detailing the updates and providing a link to the website where you can read more if you want. While I won't spoil this week's update, it's a big milestone for the team and has been on the players' top wish list item for several years. Now let's start with our player versus AI bot system. This is something that we've always known would be in Ethereal eventually, but as we look towards our next test, we want to provide players with a way to lower the barrier to entry by providing 3 different difficulties of bots to play against if they don't feel ready to tackle PvP quite yet. As it sits today, Noxus and Kalia have been fully implemented with easy, medium, and hard difficulties, with the goal being for easy bots to be new player friendly, medium bots to help a player learn how to improve, and hard bots to be a real challenge for players. Each one gets progressively more accurate and will even counter-build against your selected myth at the higher difficulties. Our goal is to have the full team's worth of myths ready on all 3 difficulties by the next test, but we're pushing to have a full available roster if possible. More updates to come on this as the test date gets closer. Next, let's talk about a couple of the smaller changes that are more about ease of use and making the game feel better. First up is the new tower idle and recoil animations that have been added to the game. The goal for these is twofold. I thought the static towers honestly just looked boring and the static nature of them felt stiff and lifeless. So now we've added 2 things to them. First off, the top and middle sections of the tower float idle when nothing is happening, just to give them a little bit of life. Second, when they're firing at enemies, the middle section of the tower now recoils and reverberates that recoil across the structure into the top floating piece. Eventually, some sound effects improvements will come for these towers as well, but we really want them to look powerful before you even get hit by one. We want players to instinctually fear standing under a tower with no minions present. In addition, the towers are getting some quality of life updates, which include not being able to see and shoot through walls like they could in previous tests. The second smaller change is around our camera system. In previous tests, we gave players the option to pick between a pulled-out strategic view and a much closer immersive view. After speaking about it internally and looking at player feedback from previous tests, we heard that the majority of players enjoyed the immersive view even though it felt slower, but they felt forced to use the strategic view in order to remain competitive due to the increased visibility it provided. With that in mind, we've decided to remove the strategic view and focus on the immersive, but with a couple of caveats. First being is that we increased the field of view of the immersive camera. This will allow a very similar view to what was available in the strategic camera while keeping you much closer and grounded to your myth. The second benefit of the field of view change is that it makes the game feel faster despite not changing movement speed at all. On screen, I'll provide a before and after comparison with the same movement speed for both. The only change will be the field of view. Now player action can feel more immersive and responsive without making you feel sluggish. Now let's get into the big change that we announced last week. We are removing some actives from myths in order to make the game more approachable, and to help keep things more friendly for controller players. With that being said, I want to be clear. Our reasoning for this is not that we want to remove complexity from the game. We instead want to stagger the amount of complexity a player must learn at any given time in their player lifecycle. While this does lower the initial complexity of the game, we have plenty of systems and ideas in the works that will add that complexity back elsewhere so players can learn at their own pace. So we're taking myths from 5 active abilities, a class ability, and an active familiar ability, down to 4 actives, 1 class, and a passive familiar ability. For some myths, the change was as easy as removing an ability and tweaking some of their others to fit the kit more cohesively, and for some myths, we're talking about a more holistic approach and reworking anywhere from half to the entire myths kit. In last week's blog post, we detailed the changes to Dante, which while they were minor, I'm happy to report that his changes have been completed and will be soon going to our internal QA team for debugging and testing. As we complete more reworks of myths, we'll include the changes and examples in our blog posts accordingly. I won't promise that you'll have a new kit to read each week, but we're going to do our best and share some news as we have it. In addition to the changes I just described, we've made so many others that going through them all would make this video 30 minutes long. This includes changes like being able to spectate allies, our new API, our main menu redesign, and even the surrender poll we ran. All links to those will be in the description of this video for anyone who's interested. But let's wrap things up about talking about the team's goals for April and the overall state of the project. Before we do that, I really appreciate you sticking with us. I know it's been a long road to this point, and if you have thoughts or feedback about anything I've shared today or anything in general, I genuinely like to hear them in the comments, or if you want to follow things more closely and reach out, you can message me on Discord or Reddit or Facebook or whatever you want. It really does help us move in the right direction, so again, thank you very much. Now, in April, we still plan to flesh out some of the fundamentals of Ethereal. Here are the top 5 things that we have planned for April, and in a month you'll get an update of how these things progressed. Number 1, the new UI implementation. I mentioned that we've redesigned the main menu UI, now we need to implement it into the game. Number 2, map changes and additions. There is quite a bit of friction and things that we're not happy with on the current map. This is not a full map redesign, but we're going to shift things around and make gameplay feel a little bit better. Number 3, Myth's sound design changes. Myths right now don't have complete sound profiles of when they're hitting something versus when they're missing something. We want to fix that, make it feel more grounded, and make you understand just by hearing what happened with your shots. Number 4, I want to add 3 additional bots to the bot mode. This includes easy, medium, and hard difficulties, and I'd love to hear from you guys which bots you want me to put in next. Right now, like I said, Noxus and Kalia are done, but the other 9 myths, I should say, are in need still. Number 5, minion changes and adding a new minion type. In the past, we've talked about adding the full class suite to the minion wave, and while we won't get all the way to that with this, we're going to add a new minion type in that'll make a little bit of difference that I'm excited about. Finally, that brings us to the 2 questions that I think about quite literally every day. When is the next test, and when is the Ethereal release? For the question of when the next test is, I don't have an exact date in mind. However, I plan on providing a percentage of progress toward the next test each month to transparently show how close I think we are. This month, I'm going to put us at 60% of the way there. If you look at our development roadmap, you'll see some fundamental improvements that we want to make for the game, and many of which are things that I want in there before the next test gets announced. Now for when Ethereal will release. Again, I'm not going to provide an exact date for this because we've all been burned by that before, but I'm going to say that we're probably 35% of the way there. If I'm able to do what I set out to, almost all the tasks on our roadmap will be complete around when early access launches. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'm confident in the team and what we've done so far, and I hope you'll all be there to support us as we do. In the meantime, if you have any questions, I want to be as transparent as possible, so leave comments in this video, on the Discord, on Reddit, anywhere, and I'd be happy to answer them if I can. Thanks for sticking with the project so far. You quite literally wouldn't be here without your help, and I'll see you all next month.